Namaskar. This is a series of video in which I am going to talk about Indian psychology, its concepts and various philosophical content in which the psychological content remained obscure. This is purely based on my study, my research and my experience. Hope you all will enjoy this series. Come, let's start with the introduction to Indian psychology. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Being the content to be Indian psychology, I cannot forego offering my prayers to the great grand masters of India, ancient thinkers, rishis. And this shloka which I chanted in the beginning means, come on, you and me move out of ignorance and reach that illumination, that light, that supreme reality. Let's realize that is the meaning of the shloka that we have seen in the beginning now. Indian psychology basically refers to the knowledge, rich body of knowledge that we have inherited from our ancestors. The sources are basically from Vedas, from Upanishads, and the texts of Bhagavad Gita, Hinduism, any kind of text which is related to the so-called Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and even Sufism. You have the traditional content in which the psychological content remained obscure. Since the psychological content is mixed with the philosophical and the religious content, the psychological content is to be understood very clearly, and you have to extract it as if you are extracting gold from the earthly mines. Indian psychology is common for human race across geographical boundaries. It is not limited to one particular race of people living in a geographical area. It is to the entire human race from wherever you are born with. What is more important is we should know what Indian psychology is not. Indian psychology is not indigenous or indigenizing psychology where the Western psychological concepts and theories are converted to suit the Indian context. That is not Indian psychology. It is not, as I said, it is not limited to the people of India. It is not used to understand the behavior of the people of India. It's basically Indian psychology is helpful for the entire human race across geographical boundaries and above caste, creed and religion. Actually, the term Indian psychology is first coined by Swami Vivekananda when he was giving discourses in his European countries. That was the time when he first coined the term Indian psychology, and further it was used by Sri Aurobindo from the Pondicherry University and Ashram. Our texts, I would call it as not scriptures, I would call it as ancient scholarly literatures which were given by our ancient thinkers. If you take any Upanishad for that matter, it is all about ancient Indian scholarly literatures that we can proudly call it to be. So from this we understand that Indian psychology is unique and it highlights distinctive insights about the concepts of consciousness and the cognitive processes or the mental activities. So when you understand the consciousness of an individual and the mental activities of an individual, it will be helpful to understand the human behavior. We can call it as Indian psychology is an extension of the existing scientific psychology. What Indian psychology talks about is the concept of consciousness, and we do have here the concept of mind, but of course the mind, what we refer to in the Western psychology is not as we refer to in the Indian psychology. It is the mind we refer to here is chitta, is popularly termed as mind in the Western psychological concept. So whenever I am using the word chitta, you can refer it to your content that you have studied about mind. Okay. So the scope, you have whatever, name anything, you have the scriptures or the literatures for it. For example, if we want to study about the developmental psychology, we have Shodasa Samskara. If we want to study about abnormal behavior or abnormal psychology, we have Yoga Darshana and Ayurveda. If we want to study about the economic and the political action for psychological content, if we want to take, then we have Arthashastra and Chanakya Niti. If we want to study about social psychology, then we have Dharma Shastra and the Niti Shastra. If we want to study about the cognitive psychology, cognitive content or the mental processes, how we reason out things, this is what we study in cognitive psychology. So the literature related to that in Indian context is the Shad Darshanas, that is the 6 different philosophical content that we have, which is belonging to the aesthetic as well as the heterodox system of schools of philosophy. And also we have the Jaina and the Buddha Darshanas also talk about the cognitive psychology. So various voluminous text is there. Indian thinkers, ancient Indian thinkers have discussed very widely or vastly about the biological, psychological, social aspects of human behavior, which can be corrected at any point of time. Therefore, one can lead a healthy and harmonious life to attain spirituality. This is the basic introduction that I am going to give for Indian psychology. In the coming up videos, we will be talking more about the comparison study of the Indian and the Western psychology along with the concepts of Indian psychology. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.